This is an H10 Optic kit. What's going on, everyone? Today I'm here with the H10 Optic kit. A kit meaning that it's unassembled. As you can tell, this box is much too small to have a fully assembled truck inside. But what we have here is the popular H10 Optic platform, but unassembled, and there's some upgrades in here and also some exclusions from the RTR. Obviously, RTRs include electronics and this does not. But in addition to that, this also doesn't have wheels or tires. So those are the things that you're going to have to plan to purchase when you pick up a kit. Your own wheels and tires, and then whatever type of electronics that you plan to run in the vehicle. Now, as you can see by this box, a little bit different style than Vanquish has done in the past. And if you've been around the H10 Optic before, you'll know that it has a hard body with molded body panels that come in a specific molded color. They're black and a blue before, but we have 6 different ones shown here. And that's because this kit comes in 6 different variations, one of each that you see across. But you don't know which one you get. It is a gamble. There's no indication on the outside of the box whatsoever what the version is on the insides. So it's a luck of the draw based on what you get inside. Now, the only thing different is the body panel color and the graphics that come with them. That's the only difference. The rest of the kit is identical from one to the other. Now, with that talk of the 6 variants, there's also a box here that says chance of exclusive H10 variant. So that hints towards something a little bit special beyond maybe what you see on the front. One thing that is good to check is that the factory seal is still intact on your box, just to make sure that you're the first one to take a peek inside. Now, before I open this up and discover what color I got and start building, let's go over some of the differences between the RTR and this one. First of all, in the transmission itself, you'll find the most differences. It's got a machined motor plate, machined standoffs, as well as machined aluminum bearing plates inside. And then down to the axles, you'll also find that it's coming with the machined ring and pinion gears, as well as a machined spool in there. That's the main differences. The shocks also get the hard anodized upgraded bodies, so a little bit extra in that area as well. As I mentioned, no wheels and tires, but let's open this thing up and see what we got. As you can see, I got orange. By sheer chance, I get my favorite color, and I can't wait to get that assembled. Beyond that, I'll just kind of show you what the contents look like before I get into building. H10 Optic manual with the box artwork on the front there, and your graphics for your panels are also in that same bag. From there, you're going to have bag A and B will be your front and rear axles respectively. Bag C is the transmission and subframe. Bag D is the shocks. E is drive shafts. F is suspension links. Bag G and the chassis sides are what complete the chassis. While I'm assembling everything, I'll be installing a Hobbywing Fusion Pro 2300 kV. I'm going to use a Reefs 900 Smart servo for steering. I've got some 2.2 Vanquish Riot beadlocks. Now, this is typically a 1.9 buggy. The RTR comes 1.9, and I'm still going to be using 1.9 tires. I'm just going to stretch them onto some 2.2s for a little bit different look. For tires, I haven't been running them as much lately, but Proline crawlers have always been a favorite of mine, so I'm going to be running those in a G8 compound. And I'll be controlling it all from my Radiomaster MT12, so I picked up a receiver that's compatible with it. And now I'm gonna dive into the assembly. Rather than cover the full build step-by-step in this video, I'm just going to go through and note anything that's kind of like a tricky area. When you open bag A, it's a good idea to separate your hardware. You'll notice that you've got 10s, 14s, and 16s, and one 12mm M3. That 12mm M3 is for the servo horn. So just note that that is the one oddball screw, and that is where it goes. If you separate out the M2 hardware, you'll find that you have M2x10 and M2x8. The M2x10 you'll only have 4 of, and those are for the steering clamps on the axle. They go in these 4 holes. The one that you have 6 of, that is for the ring gear and spool assembly. When installing the spur gear, loosely tighten those 3 screws, then use your cross wrench to center the spur gear on the top shaft before tightening those down. That'll help keep the transmission as quiet as possible. When building the VFD, make sure you note that there is 2 lengths of the M2 pins. This is an M2 by 10, that's an M2 by 8. One of the M2 by 8 goes in this location here on the top shaft, and the other goes into the top gear that enters into the transfer case. When installing the last couple of gears in the transfer case, make sure you note that there's a 30 and a 32. The 32 goes to the rear drive shaft, the 30 goes to the front drive shaft. Since I'm installing the Fusion Pro into here, I do need to make a little bit of clearance right here on this upper link mount. I can do it with an X-Acto blade, and I'll do a before and after just to show you what needs to be done. You can see I just took that corner off, just 2 very thin little slices with an X-Acto blade is all it needed to get done. In the drive shaft bag, you'll find 4 of these thin shims. Those are used to set the mesh on your pinion. You put them on the outside here between the drive shaft and the housing. You can use 1 or 2 per axle, or you don't have to use any. They're not always needed. It's just a fine tuning thing. You don't have to use them, but if you feel like you want to tighten up the drive shaft connection to the axle, it's helpful. The instructions show those shims there. It also shows them over here. They're not to go over here. So don't use them on this side, only at the axle side. When installing the drive shafts, there's 2 types of caps. A solid one like this one here, as well as one that has a crown style shape to it. The crown style shape goes at the transmission side of the drive shaft joints. When building the interior, the steering wheel is probably the most interesting or difficult part. You'll see on the steering wheel there's some notches or thinner areas there. You'll want to install the steering wheel first, so it kind of sits down in that notch, then you kind of have to press it over the steering column. There is no screw to hold it on. Once it's in there, it just freely sets in. So now when you install the driver, you need to make sure that you get the hands over those reduced areas so that they'll go on. Otherwise, you won't be able to get the arms really into place. Now you can do it before it's attached to the torso. That's the easier option. Takes a little bit of pressure, but they'll snap over there and then they're pretty well connected. Now you can line up the torso over top and then screw it in through the backside. After you get the driver installed, you can then tighten the screws on the bottom that hold the seat in place. Before putting the decals on, I sprayed some soapy water, and then I'll take the decal and I'll start it on one side and I'll work it all the way across with the squeegee to try and keep as many air bubbles out as possible. Couple little pockets to push out. We'll be able to get this pretty much 100%. And we're finished with the build and we're RTR. So not a bad time frame on this. It took me about 3 hours to do from start to finish, but the wheels were already assembled. I just had to mount the tires. So also using a 2-in-1 ESC, I didn't have to do any soldering. It made that pretty easy as well. But beyond that, pretty standard kit. Again, just take your time, a few hours, and you're done. Now, overall, super happy with the look of this. Obviously, the orange one is going to be my favorite color. Again, there's 6 liveries. The orange is this style that may be reminiscent in a vintage way almost to some of you. Maybe, maybe not. Then there's a green Huff version, a red Eibach, a teal Throttle Therapy. Then we've got a yellow Battleborn wheels and a gray Vanquish. And then there's that exclusive variant that you'll very clearly know exactly what it is and that it is special when you receive it. Those exclusive versions are sprinkled throughout all of the kits. And again, there's nothing to signify which boxes have it or do not. So it's the luck of the draw on that. But overall, I'm super stoked with how this one came out. The 2.2 Riots with the 1.9 tires, I really like the look of. Just that larger wheel to tire proportion set up there. Kind of reminds me of like the 42-inch tires with 20-inch wheels in the full-size world, which is common on buggies. When I assembled the interior, I forgot to put the decals on it before I put it in the chassis. And it's a lot more difficult to install those decals with it already in there. So that's just going to be an excuse for me down the road to do some interior modification to this. That's on me though. Don't do like I did. Remember to put your decals on before you assemble it into the chassis. The electronics that I ran are just a fantastic package in this. Again, the Fusion 2300 kV, or the Fusion Pro, more specifically, that I installed in here. It's got great low speed control. You can just creep and crawl with it. It's super quiet. You know, you don't even notice that it's running. You just got that ultra low speed control with the FOC as well. If you want to, you know, use that FOC, it'll stay nice, consistent, and slow. They're not the most punchy motors, but they're very convenient. So for that reason, it is a nice choice. I've got that Reef's Smart 900 installed for the steering servo, ton of power, and that's going to be just a perfect setup overall. I'm super happy with that. Now, I did buy the wrong receiver for my radio. Normally, I run an ELRS version of the MT12, but I accidentally bought a different receiver than I normally do, which requires me to run the 4-in-1 version, which luckily I also had and gave me an excuse to use for this, I guess. I had an orange Joe rope sitting around, so I threw that on the 4-in-1 and have my regular gray one that can run everything else. But lucky me, otherwise I guess I would have had to get another receiver and then get it all swapped around, but not a big deal. Lucky I had the extra equipment sitting here that I was able to still utilize the parts that I bought. But at this point, I'm ready to get this thing out on the rocks. Now, I do still have the stock foams in these crawlers, which isn't going to be ideal, but they'll hold up well enough for a run or so without completely falling apart. Now, I haven't added any weight to this truck at all up front or anything like that. So it's going to be a real neutral car out of the box. But I'm going to take this to a new spot that I've never crawled before, get it out on the rocks, have some fun. You know, it's going to be much like my other upgraded optics, but those of you that are interested in kits are interested for specific reasons, and this is just going to help satisfy that. So with that, let's go get it out on the rocks. But before we do, I'd like to thank all of my channel members who help support the channel a little bit extra. If you'd like more information on that, I'll put a link below. With channel membership, you get access to the videos early. You also get extra member-only videos as well. So if you're interested in that, you want to help support the channel a little bit extra, you can find all of that information in the description below. But that's going to do it for this part. Let's go get out on the rocks.